Well, I bet you never thought you'd be seeing this on the channel. It's Football Manager 24, and we're doing a series here in Ligue 2. As you can see on the screen, we are taking over a club called Grenoble. But before we actually start diving into the state of Grenoble and what this club is looking like and what the tactics we're going to be using are and all that good stuff, I should probably preface this on just what this series is going to be and how I even got started playing this game. So, essentially, I want to say over a month now ago, maybe even 2 months ago, I don't know how long it's been, but at some point, Epic was giving this game out for free during one of their free game periods. I decided to download it just to give it a shot. At the time, I was just like, man, there's not really much to play, not really feeling anything, so I downloaded this, gave it a shot, and I have been hooked ever since. I am totally soccer-pilled now. I've gotten to the point where I'm not just playing this game, I'm watching videos on this game, I'm watching actual soccer. Something about playing this game just made a switch flip in my brain, and now it's just like, I get it. I understand why people like this. And with how my brain is, when I get into something, I cannot be into anything casually, and I have to just totally engulf myself with it. That doesn't even feel like the right word, but just totally dive in and just obsess over my newfound hobby, if you want to call it that, or newfound interest. So previous to playing this game, basically my only experience with soccer was I was really into FIFA Ultimate Team in like 2012. I want to say it was FIFA 12, maybe 13. I think it was FIFA 12, though I'm not 100% sure. If you ever got your ass handed to you by a team of a 100% chemistry bronze Korean team, that was probably me. That was the type of shit I was doing on FIFA Ultimate Team back then. But that's really all my experience with soccer up until playing this game. I've tried to get into it in the past, but I didn't really ever have like a real way of getting into it. I don't really have any friends that are like big soccer fans or anything like that. But like I said, now I'm fully in. Something about this game just made it click in my brain, and now I love it. I love the whole promotion relegation system. I love the pyramid system in all the different countries, and the European competition is just sick to me. The whole thing, I love it. So you may be wondering why I'm not doing a save in the MLS. That's exactly why. There is no promotion relegation. I know there are like custom databases you can download to get that into the game, but I just didn't feel like doing that. So MLS, U.S. Soccer, listen up, get promotion and relegation in your goddamn leagues. It is the only sport in this country that could ever possibly be in, and it's still never going to happen. And for those of you wondering, yes, I do have an EPL team that I support now. Basically, the decision came down to I did not want to be a fan of a team or a supporter of a team or a club that is already like established as like a top club in Europe. I was not going to be all of a sudden being like, oh, I'm a Manchester City fan, I'm a Manchester United fan. I know they're not really as good right now. I'm aware of that, but it is still a very popular team to be a fan of if you were here in America. I see Liverpool all the time, I see Arsenal all the time, I see Chelsea a decent amount. Those types of clubs, I did not want to be a fan of any of those types of clubs. I thought about West Ham for a bit, only because, just to preface what the saves I've done here so far on FM24, I've mainly been playing in multiplayer saves with my guy Burns. That's how I started playing this game. The very first save we did was us just taking over teams that we were not aware of as good top teams or top clubs in the EPL. Like I just mentioned, those teams, Manchester City, all those teams you would think of as like top EPL teams. So I was West Ham, he was Wolverhampton, and we just did like I forget how many seasons we did, but it was basically just to get in and just like try not to get fired and learn the game. So we had no idea how to set up the database and anything like that. So once we got to a point of like 2-3 seasons in, then we decided to go and actually start one with like a database now that we knew how to set that up, and with our newfound knowledge, try to get a team promoted. So we decided to go over to Bundesliga 2. I was Osnabrück, a freshly promoted side to Bundesliga 2, and he was Fürth. My season went incredibly poorly. We got relegated into 3 Liga. And then in Season 2, we were just dominating 3 Liga. And then for whatever reason, we decided to put that save on hold, and now we've been doing a Build Your Nation multiplayer save in Ireland. So we're starting out in the Irish First Division. After the first season, we both had very good years. I ended up getting the playoff promotion spot into the Premier Division, and Burns is still down in the Second Division because he lost to me in the playoffs. And now in Season 2, I'm trying to just not get relegated, and things are not going well at the moment. But yeah, back to who my EPL team is. West Ham was my original first choice, possibly, just because I was playing as them in this game, and it was like, oh, West Ham, that'd be cool. I know their roster sort of now. And I definitely have a fondness towards West Ham, but I don't know. Something about West Ham just didn't click in my mind as something that I wanted to be, I wanted them to be my team. So, I've decided I am a Brighton fan. I've decided this recently, but I did not decide this after they beat Manchester City the other day. I decided this before they did that, so I watched that game as a Brighton supporter. It was insane. I loved it. And then just one more thing before we actually get started into this save here, and this is actually save-related, series-related, is that I have no clue how I'm going to format this series. When it comes to OTP videos, anybody who has watched my channel knows how these things are formatted in OTP. I do the first half of the season, the second half of the season, and then each playoff round is its own video, and then we do the off-season, and then repeat. And it's pretty regimented. I've got the format down. I know what I'm doing in that game, in that sport. It's very... it's cut and dry. I know how to do it. It's easy for me to set up, do all that stuff. This, I don't know any idea. I have no clue how I'm going to format this series. One thing I do know is that I don't want it to be like OTP, where it's just very quickly getting through a season like that, where it's just like, hey, here's a video for the first half, here's a video for the second half, and then boom, it's the off season. We're not trying to do these big rounding... big roundup episodes like we do in OTP. I would like to take a little bit more time to get through the season. Now, that's not saying we're going to take 20 episodes to get through one season, but I don't think one season's going to be 1 or 2 episodes. I don't think we're going to do quite that, because how I like to play this game is actually getting in the weeds and watching the games. I usually don't watch full matches, but I usually like to get in there and watch games with either comprehensive or extended highlights, and figure out my tactic, take things as it goes throughout the season. So obviously I'm not going to be showing every single thing in real time in these episodes, but I think, I've been making videos for long enough now that I could probably figure out the best way to format these as we go on. But the first few episodes, I would say, maybe even the first few seasons, who knows, are probably going to be a bit of me figuring out how to format these. And then there are 2 other things. One, I am going to mispronounce things. Just know that I am trying, especially here in Ligue 2. There's going to be incredible French names that I just do not know how to pronounce. There's going to be incredible foreign names all over the place that I don't know how to pronounce. There's going to be just a ton of things that I don't know how to pronounce. And then there's also just going to be certain terms that I, just out of habit of being not a kid learning this stuff for the first time and being 28 and having all this stuff ingrained in my sports brain, there are certain things that are called certain things in the soccer world that aren't that way in American sports. So, calling a club a team, for example. You'll see that slip occasionally here and there. But yeah, long story short, I am trying to know the lingo, the lexicon, but it's just very hard to say certain things as the first take when it's 28 years of just watching American sports and having American sports brain and knowing certain things are called certain things. And then the last little tidbit of information before we actually get started on Grenoble here is that I have been playing. I do have the editor for this game. I have been playing most of my saves, or all my saves, with the check option of not being able to get fired or sacked, whatever you want to call it, just because that is how I prefer to play these games. Pick a team, you build that team up, and see where you can get this team. That is what we're trying to do here. I don't think I am going to check that option on for this save, at least to start. If I start feeling like maybe we're going to get fired, then maybe I might check it on. But for now, we're going to leave it unchecked and just see how long we could stay with Grenoble without them wanting to fire us. Because I don't want to get fired, and I also don't want to leave here. So even if it goes extremely well, and we get this team rocking and rolling, or this club rocking and rolling, I am not going to be like, hey, we're seeing you, we're dipping for the EPL, I'm going to go be Brighton's manager now. That's just not going to happen. We're in here for Grenoble for the long haul. And also, for those of you who don't know, the reason why I decided to do a series on this, at first it was like, oh, well, you know, we got this game, and it was like, oh, the game's going to come out, the new one is going to come out in like a couple weeks or whatever, so there's no really point in thinking about doing a series. But this game has gotten delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed, so now the new one's not projected to come out until like March, like when OTP comes out. So still a long time till then, so I figured, hey, let's get a series going. This is still the most recent Football Manager game. Let's see how it goes. So we're diving into new territory here. I am by no means a soccer expert. I have learned a few things here and there. I know how this game works, at least the very basics of it now. There are still a ton of things that I don't know. There are still a ton of things that I don't know with soccer in general. So it's just a bit of a different perspective of usually where it's OTP, me being a super nerd about baseball, pretty much knowing all you can know, constantly getting new information as well. And now it's this game, soccer, where I am not like that, and it's me learning, and it's just a different perspective, and I thought it would make for an interesting series here as we move into no longer baseball season, as it is November 12th, as I am recording this right now. So, as you can see, we are taking over Grenoble Foot 38 is the name of the club, Grenoble for short. We are in Ligue 2, trying to get into Ligue 1. And as you can see, this club is not a very highly predicted club to finish at the top of the league here in Ligue 2. That's another thing, is I'm probably going to call it Ligue 2 at some point. I don't know if that's actually, like, okay. Most people I see doing saves in France are calling it Ligue 2 and Ligue 1. But that's, I don't know, it seems like pandering to me, almost. It seems like I'm like, mocking the French when I say that. But here in Ligue 2, moving on to Ligue 1 is where we're trying to get into here. And we are looking to build to a mid-table finish. We are predicted by the media to finish 12th. Last season, they finished 10th. So the media even expects this team to be worse than they were last year. But we are going to try to possibly overachieve this season. As far as the club vision goes, our board culture, both with very minor, just favored importances. They expect us to develop players using the club's youth system and then sign players from the lower levels of the domestic game. That's generally what we do anyways, at least how I prefer to build teams in these types of games, is go for the youth route. So I have no problem doing that. We're obviously going to be signing other players as well if we can, but I have no problem building through the youth system. We are expected to work within our payroll budget. Obviously, that's to be expected. We were expected to record a top half finish in Ligue 2 here. That is required, and be competitive in the French Cup. We'll see if we can make that happen. You know, they projected us to finish 12th. That is not a top half finish, but if we can overachieve to achieve that, the board is pretty locked in on that as a goal. But like I said, if we do possibly start getting into getting fired territory, I will be checking on that. Cannot be sacked. If that's cheating to you, I don't really care. That's just how I like to play these games. And they even expect us to get promoted by the end of next season, which seems like a pretty insane goal to me. That seems pretty lofty, but we are going to try to do that. And then as far as the supporter culture, they expect us to make progress on and off the pitch, and they also expect a top half finish that is required. So we have gone ahead and agreed to the club vision and expectations. I'm not going to be taking a look at this quite yet because we don't really have the assessment of these guys quite yet. We're just going to be delaying on all these guys at the moment. We'll get into tactics here in a bit, but as far... what should I probably do here? Tactical? Probably just tactical. We'll probably just go for the basic tactical there. And then we might look at these again. We'll take a look at this in a second. We have no current injuries, which is good. And as far as squad selection goes here in League 2, it does not look like it's anything crazy. We have a max squad size of 99, minimum of 815, and we can only have a max of 2 non-EU players, but I mean, that's not... which it appears that we don't even have. We don't have a single non-EU player anyways, so we can bring in 2 of these guys if we want to, and we currently have 49 guys who are already registered here, and we have 1 guy out on loan here, Lamine Yarjou. Like I said, the pronunciations are gonna be pretty bad, but this guy currently not on the team, currently out on loan. Is this a Turkish side? No, they're in Kazakhstan. Okay, so he's on loan to a Kazakhstan side. Yeah, we cannot recall him from his loan, so he will be back next season. Looks like we have a couple U19. This guy's not a U19 guy, but he's probably listed on the U19 roster for some reason. This guy is also on loan. More of a center back DM hybrid type. Very slow, don't really like that. And also, this guy doesn't really look the greatest either. Striker, who is like okay, but isn't really ever going to be great. He does look like he could be a decent target forward though, so if he decided to ever want to play some football, some Rat 1 football, some Sean Dyche type football here. 16 jumping reach, 14 heading, pretty solid for that. Only 8 strength though, not the best, only 9 balance, but the jumping reach and the heading, definitely not too bad. But he is on loan, so currently not with us. He's on loan at a French National 2 league, which is a league we do not have loaded in, but they are still obviously in the game. You can click on the teams and look at them, but they are not loaded into this game. We were only able to pick French National as the lowest team, or lowest league, and this is also a French National 2 team, is I believe the pronunciation for it. But before we actually take a look at our tactic here, let's actually look at our squad page and see who are agreed playing time guys there. So we have 4 guys agreed to be important players. Looks like a lot of DM situation, a lot of midfielders that we have. This guy can play defense as well. Okay. So like a defensive, like a center back. Looks like he can also play right back as well. All quite well, to be honest, but probably more so suited to be up the middle. As a veteran player, we have a defensive midfielder / midfielder hybrid, another center midfielder, a goalkeeper, and then we have a wide back, DM midfielder hybrid, a center back, another defensive player who can play wing back on the right side, another midfielder who can play attacking mid, and then a attacking mid striker, attacking mid winger striker guy, another DM midfielder center, and then a defender left, another striker, and then it gets down into the squad players. So we might be, I mean, we're gonna have to play a system with a wing if we at least, so like wingers, 4-3-3 might be the option, because these guys are probably starting wingers if I had to imagine, more so than strikers. So it's probably like this guy is the starting striker, and then we have these 2 guys as the wingers, and we have some sort of system with 3 midfield. Yeah, 4-3-3. 4-3-3 is probably what we're going to end up playing. Oh, and if you're wondering if any about this club info page, this is what it looks like. We have average training facilities, average youth facilities, national reputation, finances are secure. We have $4 million in the bank, but we don't really have any spending money. We have to stay within our payroll. Right now we are exactly at our payroll. We cannot spend 1 penny more. We need to sell guys if we're going to bring in any more money. So we're at the payroll cap. As far as the scouting goes, we're scouting all of France right now. Our scouting budget is allowing that. And we have 0 transfer budget too. So if we bring in anybody, it has to be cheap, or it has to be a free transfer, but we can't even do that until we start selling players, because we have no payroll budget, because we're at our max right now. Do any of these guys have, like, we have a bunch of players who are wanted by teams. That doesn't necessarily mean we need to sell them, but we could if we wanted to. This guy is apparently transfer listed. I mean, he doesn't look like he's very good. I mean, sure, if some team wants a 32-year-old with a 2.5-star rating, obviously I know that that is league dependent, and he's not a 2.5-star in like lesser leagues. But I mean, if I'm playing, and also I have to get out of my brain thinking that I'm managing in Ireland, because if I see something like this in Ireland, I'm like, holy shit, this guy is never going to want to come here. But in League 2 here, this guy probably a lesser player for us, which is probably why he starts as transfer listed and also deemed surplus to requirements. They think that some of these guys could be first team candidates. I mean, he's a 2-star goalie, 6'8". We have a 6'8" keeper, 19 jumping reach, 16 strength. I mean, this guy is pretty intriguing in my mind. Alrighty, so I think this is going to be what we are at least starting with for the tactic. We have just gone through, and it's taken me a bit to get to where I'm at here because we have some interesting players, and I want to try to put players in their best roles and try to build it around here. But I do think 4-3-3 positive mentality is what we are going to be rocking with here. I usually add 2 to where like it's a bit different, to where if like we're the underdog we play like a cautious or something, but usually I mainly keep it positive. But I will probably add 2 more tactics here just to train alongside. It will also be 4-3-3 and just different mentalities with different instructions to just have a different bit of a play style depending on who we're up against. But I used to kind of just go in here and check all sorts of kind of stuff, but I've been having a lot more success recently. Maybe it's just because we're playing in a very low division in Ireland, or a very lowly reputable reputation league in Ireland. So a lot of the guys are stupid, for lack of a better word, and just if you give them too many instructions, they just kind of hotwire or overload and don't really know what the hell they're doing. I think you can get away with a bit more instructions on this level, but I think I am going to keep it simple to start. So it's positive mentality. I don't want to... I might check on play to defense, but I tend to... When I say play to defense, we tend to just dominate possession and not get any real chances out of playing out of defense. So I think I'm going to leave it unchecked for now, everything in here, and just kind of let the team do what they're going to do. The only thing we are instructing them to do is to work the ball into the box and play with a slightly higher tempo. I think that is good. I was tempted to throw on run at defense just because I feel like we have the players who can dribble and get past their defenders. But I think I want to leave it up to them as just kind of, hey, use your judgment, do whatever, and really only instruct those 2 things. And then in transition, we just want to distribute to center backs and then counter press. I thought about maybe doing counter, but I think we'll just let them do whatever here. I don't know, I'm kind of even tempted to just kind of do this, but I think counter press is our best option, especially since we're playing a ball-winning midfielder, and I want to just be trapping teams into a mid-block. As you can see here, I really like this structure. I've been using this a lot with a 5-3-2 that I've been playing with an Ireland team. Mid-block, higher defensive line, get stuck in. Don't press a ton, but more often... I also trap inside with the 5-3-2 because I feel like we have a bit more numbers. Here, I might do that, but I think we can keep it to where it is right now because we'll have the numerical advantage. We have the ball-winning midfielder. I want the guys to get the ball immediately after losing possession, and I just feel like this is probably our best setup. Rather than stretching out our line and moving it up the field like this, I want to keep it in a mid-block with a higher defensive line, and I feel like we have the speed defensively to counteract them trying to play the ball with long balls behind us. So I think the higher defensive line would work here. I mean, like, this center defender has 14 pace. This guy has 13 pace. And then our wingbacks here, not that they really play too much, but this guy's got 12 pace, and then this guy has 14 pace. So I think they're fine. But as far as these roles that we're rocking here, we are not playing a couple guys who are promised to be regular starters, but that's just we have too many guys being promised starter roles. Both of those guys are Ba here, who is an interesting striker, for sure. he's definitely going to mix into games, but he's not going to be our main starter at striker. And the other one here is Dante Rigo, who I do like, but I think is just not really the perfect player for what I want. I was trying to play him as defensive mid. He'll probably sub in and play defensive mid as well as some regular central midfield for us, but I just didn't really think that he fit because basically we want Benet here to be our playmaker in the middle here as the advanced playmaker, and Rigo, if you look at his ratings, he's not really a tackler. He's not a guy who like marks that well or tackles that well. He's a natural defensive midfielder, but he's more of a playmaking defensive midfielder. He's a regista, he's a roaming playmaker, and I didn't want to give him that sort of flexibility because we need our defensive guy to be like the guy who holds this back line here. I even thought about possibly doing an anchor. Generally, I like an anchor, sometimes even a halfback, but I wanted to give us a more structured role here rather than a roaming playmaker type, since we already have Benet here, who's going to be roaming all over the place as this advanced playmaker. Even thought about playing Sylvester here as an advanced playmaker because he should be an attacking mid-center, but we just don't use that, so we're playing him on the wing here as a left-footed winger on the right side. So he's playing as an inside forward. I thought about playing him as an inverted winger here, but I made the option to go inside forward simply because we want him to utilize, or maybe I should do inverted winger. Now that I'm looking at this, I think we do want him to be an inverted winger. The main thing I didn't like about inverted winger is, so if you see here, inside forward has take more risks. Inverted winger just has dribble more and cut inside with ball, which is also two instructions he has is here. So I think that we are going to just make this more of an inverted winger who has instructions. So we're going to add on get further forward and take more risks here for that role. So it's more of a hybrid inverted winger inside forward, because I don't think he has we don't want him scoring goals. That's not his role. He's a playmaker. He's an assister. He's a facilitator with his 14 passing and 14 vision. So we want him on that wing, cutting inside, making through ball passes, making direct passes to some of our more forward players. So we have him and Benet who will be doing those roles. We have Valls here as a box-to-box midfielder. That's just his best role. I thought about doing a Mazzala, but my worry with Mazzala is that we already have Sylvester cutting inside. We only have Terrain here on a wingback support. So if I put him on a Mazzala, at least the way I'm thinking about it, he would kind of be in the same space as two players already are. And I think I want to just have him be a box-to-box instead. Maybe we switch to Mazzala. If maybe I'm talking crazy here, and if somebody who knows more about positions and soccer tactics, obviously I'm still learning here, but as far as I understand it, I think a Mazzala would kind of just, we would have three guys in too much space. And then I thought about possibly moving him over here to be a Carolero too, because we're gonna have Mendy here on wingback attack, because that's his best role. Even complete wingback attack, I just think he's best utilized as an attacking wingback. So he's going to be getting super far up the field, and I possibly thought about moving Valls over to here and playing this as a Carolero. Not the most ideal situation, though, because you can see here Valls actually prefers to be on the left in a two-man grouping, and then Benet also prefers to be on the left in a two-man grouping. So that's not great, but we're going to try to make it work. I could possibly move Valls down to this defensive mid-role, move Paquez here, whatever this guy's name is, to the bench, and then put somebody else in this role. I thought about that, but that still doesn't really help us with the Carolero, because Benet, we don't want him to be in a defensive Carolero role. That's how you say it, right? Carolero, yeah. He could play it, but we're limiting some of his offensive traits. I don't want to do that. That Carolero's more of a defensive sort of role. I want him to be offensive, on attack even, as the advanced playmaker. I want him with the ball a lot. I don't want him being the guy who's covering for Mendy pushing up the field a ton. So We might try to possibly do something where maybe put Benet over here, and then I don't know. I mean, they both want to be on the left, so maybe we will try that. Maybe we will. I'll put this as a Carolera support, and this as a advanced playmaker attack, and then we will just flip these two. So Vols, who can play that Carolera role. Now, it does take away some of his more offensive traits, which is something that we didn't really want to do. But, I mean, even if he's box-to-box, to be honest, I think this is probably what we want anyways, because we want the more defensive role, even if it's a box-to-box, definitely more defensive to cover for Mendy. So I think we'll do that still. I think we'll still do box-to-box. Maybe we switch to Carolero, though. I think that could be an option. But for right now, it's going to be box-to-box. Benet is going to be on the right as the advanced playmaker. And then we still have Paquez here as the ball-winning midfielder. We have the two central defenders. Well, we have one central defender in Diarra. He can pass a little bit, but his vision's not great, so I wanted to put him just as a central defender. Whereas Monfrey has 10 passing, 10 vision. Not the best, but he has decent dribbling and first touch as well, so I felt like we need to have a defender who's not making basic passes, so Monfrey is the best option for that. It's not his best role. Maybe I put him back to just central defender, but I think he's good enough to play ball player, so we are going to put him in that ball player defender role, because I don't want to have, like, 0 ball-playing defenders. I like to have 1. 2 is kind of pushing it for me sometimes, but I usually like to have 1. So we're having him there. Mendy is the wingback attack, like I said. Terrain is a wingback support. I thought about possibly putting him as fullback attack, just to have a little bit more defensive, because the wingbacks tend to not really defend too much. And the one thing I don't like about the ball-winning midfielder is they can kind of get a bit ball chasey, a bit puck chasey if I'm in hockey mode. So, you know, we want this guy to be like defensive structure, but ball-winning midfielder is just like the role that has a bunch of guys who have like at least a 2.5 star off the bench to play. So I think that's just our best role. And it also, like, it has the role of, like, it wants to lay it off to more creative players. Don't really like that description, because if we put Rigo here, like, Rigo's pretty creative, but I think Paquez here is the ball-winning middle. We're just going to stick with that. We're going to see how this goes. This is our central 3 here. And then, like I said, I thought about Terrain, putting him on fullback attack, just to have a bit more of a defensive possession utility, a bit more defensive-minded, because the wingbacks are definitely super aggressive, even on support. But, like, fullback attack, he's still a 3-star on that, like he is with wingback support. Yeah, and we don't want to put him on attack, because if you look at his traits here, he already gets forward whenever possible, and he wants to he crosses early. That's already part of his thing. He crosses early. So if we put him as wingback attack to try to make up for the fact that we're going to have a guy cutting in here and not really anybody up here, like when we look at our analysis, it's not the most green it could be. So we want him cutting in, and we want him to, like, fill that hole. But if we do that, he has the crosses early, so he's going to cross early anyways, I'll show you. If we put it as wingback support, it says that this goes against one of his traits. So we might just do fullback attack instead. But the thing about that is that if we move fullback attack, it makes this structured, and wingback support keeps it flexible. And I think I want to be a bit more flexible. So we're going to leave it like that. Maybe we move it to fullback attack if we're, like, up in games or something, but that's what it's going to be right now. And then as far as the other guys we haven't talked about, Son Yang is our left wing here, left footer. Now, it's not the most ideal to have him as a inside forward, as a left footer on the left side. Obviously, I know that, but I just think it could work, because he's got good finishing for a winger. He's got good dribbling. He's got good crossing. Got first touch. He can pass a bit. He's fast. The thing I worry about is if we put him as a winger, like say he's a support winger, they're going to be utilizing the same pace, especially with Mendy on attack, the same space rather. So like I guess we could have him winger and then tell him to like cut inside with ball. That could be an option. That could be a thing. Or we could go inverted winger, because I know it still says that it's best when it's on a player's. It says it works best when a player's strongest foot is on the opposite side of the pitch he's playing on. It still says that for an inverted winger, but I've had some success with inverted wingers on the same side, like on a left-footed guy on a left side. So, but the thing about that is I don't want him to be not utilizing his finishing, so I want to put him on inside forward. So we might do that, because on winger I don't think he's going to be able to. Like, we don't want him just getting past his man and throwing in crosses. We want him to do other stuff, too. So I think we're going to keep him on inside forward. Hope it works. If it doesn't, we will take that off. But for now, we're going to leave that. So we have 3 attacking roles here in this positive. We have the wingback attack, the advanced playmaker attack, and our advanced forward, who is Pastalashi, 23-year-old advanced forward. I thought about putting him on poacher, but I want him to use advanced forward because he has good dribbling. So we want to utilize that. Decent enough passing. And poacher, he doesn't use passing as a poacher, but he doesn't use a lot of the stuff. Like, he's not going to use his decent pace. He has 13 pace, which isn't the best, but it's decent. He does play with back to goal, though. But he does move into channels. I mean, I guess that actually could be interesting. I think we're going to try him as a poacher. And he's just naturally going to move into channels anyways. He wants to play with back to goal. So he's going to be doing that, looking for passes. So I think that's what we're going to be doing. We want him to score goals. He has 14 finishing. So yeah, we have the inside forward, the inverted winger, the poacher up front, and that is what we are going to be rocking here. And then also our goalie, Mablet, whatever his name is, Mablet, Bryce Mablet. 33-year-old veteran keeper. We have him on sweeper keeper defend just because we want him to be utilizing some of that sweeper keeper stuff and not just only focusing on being a goalkeeper. Yeah, so that's what we're going to be rocking with here, and we'll see how it goes. And then as far as some of our bench players here, we have some interesting players, a lot of young guys down here. We talked about Ba as a striker coming off the bench. We also have Dante Rigo, who we talked about. And then we have some interesting younger players like Mine here. He's 22 years old, has some decent potential, has some good traits. He winds up opponents, tries tricks, hugs the line, runs with ball often. And he would mainly be a winger for us. He can play both wingers. Looks like he can not really play midfield. And he can play some striker a little bit. So he's a winger and striker for us. Interesting player to come off the bench. And then we also have Saiku Ture here, who is very versatile, can play both of our midfield positions. And then he can actually play some striker a bit too, and he can play some winger decently. So pretty versatile, no traits, but decent potential on him as well. And then we have Lenny Joseph here, who is another high potential, 4-star potential, 22-year-old. He's got some good dribbling, decent traits, more of a striker, winger type for us. Can't really play anywhere else, but he can play attacking mid, I guess, but we don't have that. So he's a striker and winger for us off the bench. Is it Jacob Geno? Jakob? I doubt it's Jakob. Jacob Geno, whatever this guy's name is. He can play center back, defensive mid, and regular midfielder. And he's pretty decent with some decent potential. We also have Nolan Mbemba, who can play both wing-back positions. On the left, he would need to be more of like an inverted guy because he has a horrible left foot, but he has a really strong right foot, so he's good on that right wing, or right wing back, and he can also play defensive mid and also regular mid, so very versatile for him. We have Alan Tapachet. Once again, I'm going to butcher a lot of names here. He is a very interesting young center back, really good at jumping, really strong, decently fast. I'm quite excited about this guy. He is going to be like one of our main subs most games. probably coming in to either play. I mean, I wouldn't mind playing him either. He could play ball player or he could play central defender. He could play either of these roles. Does he have a preference to what side? He prefers to be on the left, so he's probably going to come in more for Diarra. Or if we do... and then the thing about our central defenders is both of them prefer to be on the sides. So Monfrey prefers to be on the right, and then Diarra prefers to be on the left. Another thing we could do to get this guy involved is play a 3 at the back system, like 3 center backs, but I don't quite want to do that right now. But I am very excited about this player. He looks like he could be really solid. Utilize him on set pieces too with that jumping reach and heading combo and the strength. He could be lethal on those corners. And then we have 2 guys who right now, actually, I have this set up to like we have 9 subs, but I don't think we have 9 subs. We don't. We only have 5 subs. Oh no, we can use 5 subs. We can only name 7. I know it goes back up to 9 like it is for a lot of leagues once you get up to Ligue 1, but for Ligue 2, it is only 7 named subs. So that's why I was setting this up like here with this goalie is the 9, because that's like where I like to end it, where the goalie is our last sub. So we need to figure out who our top 6 defender, or top 6 outfield players are here in the subs. So like it's definitely these 2 guys because they both expect to start, so they're going to be in there. All right, so it's going to be let's just take all these guys out of here for now. We definitely know Tapacha is going to be in there, so these 3 guys are for sure in there. And then like our backup right wing is either going to be Amine or Lenny, or right wing rather, and then left wing Amine or Lenny. In the midfield, it's going to be like Rigo, Mbemba, Torre. Torre can play some wing too, can he? He can play some wing. So Torre we definitely want in the mix. And then I think we're going to prefer Lenny. And then like Rigo. And... Jenna gives us that defensive, but Mbemba gives us that wing. So, like, Mbemba is the main backup here. So, yeah, Mbemba's going to be... Yeah, we need Mbemba to be in the team. Because Torre gives us that wing and the midfield. Tapachet gives us that defensive. Mbemba gives us both wing backs. Lenny gives us striker and also wing. Rigo gives us defensive mid and regular mid. I guess Ba just gives us striker. To be honest, he's somebody I wouldn't mind selling. I know he has decent potential. He's 26. Because we already have a backup striker in Lenny. Even somebody like Amine, I wouldn't mind playing at striker. Even Torre could get in their mix. His finishing, though, is not great. So we wouldn't really want him to play striker, but I don't know. I think we'll leave it the way it is now. Amine and Joseph. So, like, Joseph is 3-star currently, 4-star potential. And Amine is 3-star, 4-star potential. So, yeah, he has 4 traits. Joseph has just hugs line. He's only good with 1 foot. He's good with both. That makes it to where, yeah, Amine is going to slot in because Amine can play with both feet reasonably well. So yeah, we're going to keep Amine in here, and then the rest of these guys will be like, as far as who we think is best, it's like Joseph, Geno, this guy with an insane Matteo Zantipe, 21-year-old, decent potential. I would say he might even be somebody I prefer more than Geno, maybe? I don't know, we'll probably leave it like this. And then these are guys who, like, I don't really think are people we care about. So, Tio here is a winger who, you know, isn't that great. He has, like, no potential either. He's 24. And he even has a value that, like, we would not mind selling. We would not mind selling that for, like, 100K if we could, even, like, 80K. So I might transfer list him. This guy's already transfer listed, and he's on his way out. So both of those guys are probably not going to be long-term things here. We're going to transfer list Nathaniel Tio. And then we might even try to loan, like, one of these guys. Like, maybe Matteo here. Maybe not, though. Maybe Geno. I would not be opposed to loaning maybe like 2 of these guys. We'll see how it shakes out. But I don't want to like get rid of all our depth is the thing, because there are going to be injuries, obviously, and I don't want to just like completely destroy our depth by getting rid of loans. And if we do loans, I would want them to be loans that we could recall in case we have to do that. But I really don't think there's any like huge holes, at least how just like looking at our guys on paper, that we need to go out and like acquire. Like maybe a defensive mid, that could be something. Like if we could get like a free transfer defensive mid who could like really fill this role and be like a legit, even if we make him an anchor, that could be something I'm interested in. But for now, I think that we're in a good spot. In case you're wondering what we do with set pieces, I usually like to make the responsibilities to where I handle the set pieces, but then the set piece the takers list and the personnel lists are controlled by somebody I think can handle them. But if we don't have anybody who can handle them, then I usually take control. But if we have a guy who has like a 12 or above set pieces, I'll probably give them to him. I haven't looked over the staff yet. We will be doing that soon. But as far as what our set pieces are, I'm not going to pretend like I came up with these. You can see here they're called Union Berlin. That is because another YouTuber who unfortunately no longer makes videos, RPJ Football. You can see here if we load these in, the complete Union Berlin set piece package, RPJ Football. Great channel that I found, unfortunately no longer posts. Has all sorts of these. I've had a lot of success with all these set pieces. This is what we do on defend, a lot of player marking. On attack, we have a short corner. We have a far post corner. I don't know, it says aim for far post, but it's like glitching out and showing it as if we want it to come short here. But we have this one where it comes short, this one goes far post, and then we have one that is a near post corner. So that is the our 3 corners, and they use them all pretty evenly. Being the far post being the one we use the least out of the bunch. I might even do something like that where we use it less often, but I think it's fine the way it is. And then we player mark on defense with free kicks. It's nothing too crazy. It's all just stuff that's part of this whole package. So I'm not going to pretend like I came up with it, but it's been working well for me. So we're going to load it in and do it here again.